Welcome, everybody, to Regan's Corner. Subscribe down below and go follow Sydney on her social media pages. Special guest here from Notre, Sydney Winters. How's it going?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing very well, especially having a Notre Dame athlete on the pod. So, Sydney, how did you get into swimming?
I actually started swimming when I was 6. I played like the typical like soccer, t-ball, all that stuff. And one of my best friends from home was on the local like town swim team, and she was like, "How about you just try it?" And I was like, "Okay." Like just being a little kid, like wanted to do other things and like branch out and stuff. So I joined that, and my first like season there, I was actually the worst on the team. Like I only got like participation ribbons and all that. And my parents, after, I mean, I was by then, I was only like 6 or 7, so my parents like weren't going to tell me, "Oh, you're not good," but like they're like, "Oh, maybe you can try something else." Because like I had fun, but not like super fun. I mean, at the time. I mean, when you get last, it's not always the greatest, but then after one of the seasons, something clicked, and I started to get better, and yeah, have stuck with it ever since.
For sure, absolutely. So, how was kind of the moment where I'm starting to kind of get better at the sport? Was it other sports that kind of helped you along the way to get kind of more into the sport?
Yeah, I would say I was a pretty athletic kid growing up. I did a lot of different things. I swam and did soccer until I was about like 11. And then once I quit soccer, I picked up field hockey. I swam throughout this whole time. And then once I got to high school, I just swam and I focused on that. But I would say for me, probably once I hit like 11 and I quit soccer and I just picked up field hockey just to have like another sport, just to do it. Because also growing up, my parents were like, "Oh, you should always do a different sport just in case swimming doesn't work out." And also, if I like when I'm older, like now, I don't go back and say like, "Oh, well, you made me swim. That's why I'm doing it." Blah blah blah. But I think when I was 11, it kind of hit me. I started to get better and go to like more like regional like senior meets as a young 11-year-old. So I think that's when it hit me.
So, do you think since your parents kind of pushed you in other sports, it helped you gain a love of swimming instead of making it, oh, this is my job kind of thing? Because I know how seasons can be horrible
Mhm.
for athletes.
Sorry about that. Um, I would say probably yes, for sure, because I mean, I think it helped also too, um, doing a different sport from like a fitness standpoint too, and overall just being an athlete in general. And yeah, I would say yeah, for sure.
For sure. Okay. Absolutely. So, which one kind of helps you more, the club side of things or the high school, the academy, and the recruiting process?
Um, for recruiting, I would say high school definitely helped me more. I know it's different for everyone. I would say if I went to my town high school, probably wouldn't be the same. It'd be more of a club thing. Um, I swam on a pretty competitive club growing up, so um, we were all sort of like it wasn't just me. There was a bunch of us that were at the same level. And for high school, it was a little bit different, where I didn't go to like a huge school. There's only 400 kids, so obviously the team wasn't like huge, but everyone that was there like wanted to swim too.
Right.
And my high school coach, I would say, probably helped me the most with the recruiting process and stuff. He like kind of guided me through everything, helped me like get in contact with coaches like when they would reach out, put together stuff to send back. he had a lot of connections also, so
Mhm.
I would say for me personally, high school helped me more, but everyone's different.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's different on that kind of standpoint. So, what was some of the schools other than Notre Dame that you were kind of looking at that time, and what period, like junior, senior,
Mhm.
were you in that process?
Yeah, so, the schools were all pretty similar. I mean, I at a school like Notre Dame, at least people I've talked to, everyone that's here, there's kind of a list of schools that everyone looks at that's pretty similar too, at least the athletes that go here. They were mostly like, um I looked at Ivies and then Duke, UVA, what else? Vanderbilt. So pretty like still prestigious like academic schools.
Right.
Um, yeah, I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question?
So, what period was it that you were really like looking to like narrow down your options?
My options. Okay. Um, well, my recruiting process, I would say, was a little bit earlier than a lot of other athletes. I know they've changed all the rules now, at least for swimming. It used to be you couldn't go on official visits until senior year. But now they moved it up to junior year, and when I was a junior at that time, we could only do unofficial visits,
Right.
but I kind of I don't wanna say I, like, told myself I had to do this, but my biggest goal for junior year was before I moved up on to senior year, I wanted to be already committed to a school. So, my process was kinda similar. All the trips I did take were unofficial, and basically ranged from, like, I wanna say November of my junior year until, like, April, I committed to Notre Dame, so that period is where I mostly talked with
Okay.
coaches.
So, what was it like the first time you stepped on Notre Dame's campus? I've talked to a lot of Notre Dame athletes the last couple months, but I want to see your kind of thoughts on this beautiful campus.
Mm. Honestly, it didn't feel like real life, to be honest. I mean, you see all the pictures online and stuff and, like, of the dome and, like, the stadium and everything around it, and when you truly can just step on campus and see, like, really how beautiful it is and all the architecture and stuff, it's truly remarkable and breathtaking. It didn't feel like real life for sure, especially my first, like, day as a student here. I felt like I was living in a dream, to be honest, but it's a special place. It's, like, hard to describe, but, like, it's, like, it gives you that feeling when you know you know.
Yeah, I mean, I made this joke a couple times on other podcasts with Notre Dame athletes, but like, it seems like this place is closest to like Hogwarts and stuff like
Mhm,
that, where you have these great old buildings, but like they're so beautiful and stuff
mhm,
like that. So, what was it like kind of stepping away from the small kind of academy school, Sutfield, to going to this massive university that you hear so much about here in South Bend?
mhm.
Um, so, what was that like?
I would actually say it was pretty similar coming from Suffield. My high school was really big on, like, community and, like, mostly everyone knew everyone, everyone was really close, and honestly, Notre Dame is not very different. I mean, it's obviously a little bit bigger, but it's not as big as people would think it to be. Um, just
Right.
with the name, you'd think it would be, like, double digits, thousands of students, but I think the undergrad with graduate program is under 10,000, so I think it's about 9,000. So, a lot of people you do know, and you do see the same faces all the time, which is something that's special, and everyone here, like, wants to see each other succeed, which is kinda like how I was at the high school I went to. Um, there's not really a competitive, like, feeling to it where you feel like you're competing with your classmates. It's more of a they're trying to push you to be the best you can be and encouraging you, and they also, like, celebrate your victories as well.
Okay. Since both your schools high school and now in
Mm,
college, both have tight groups. Did
mm.
that was that an easy transition going from Indeed from where you came in Massachusetts?
Yes, for sure. I would say, the transition for me, I know some people, like, have, harder times, but honestly, I think it was the smoothest I could have imagined. My high school really did set me up very well to, come here and to succeed so far as a student athlete, but, I would say it's helped a lot.
For sure. So let's kind of go into your freshman year here.
Mhm.
What was that first meet kind of like?
It was truly amazing. I mean, no one really, like, your teammates can prepare you, like, the upperclassmen can prepare you, like, with words, but you really don't know, like, what to expect until you actually are, like, living it, and it was a dream for sure. Notre Dame does something special where at mostly all their games, or meets or whatever sporting events,
Mhm.
they, they do these, like, light shows and, like, in the pool, they, like, flicker on and off, and they play, like, a hype video for whatever sport, and then it goes into, like, our Notre Dame song. I don't know what it's called exactly, to be honest, but it's like a Fighting Irish song, and then the Shipping Up to Boston noise, um, comes on, and that truly right there, like, living in that moment is something I probably won't ever forget.
Right.
It still gets me every time.
Yeah, that ship to Boston, I love that. I'm a
Mm.
huge Notre Dame fan. We had it in our opening, so we had a person that went interviewed for roller from Oklahoma. She, and I said, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, let's ship to Boston," and then we couldn't use it ever since. But anyway, so that whole season, what was kind of what did you take from that year, your freshman year, to build on into your sophomore year and stuff like that?
Mm. It was definitely a learning, experience for sure. I mean, again, I do feel like I was prepared pretty well from high school, but
Mhm.
you're never 100% ready for sure for college. So there was definitely some things I still had to adjust to, at least with like training wise. And like, I mean, I was coming from high school and club swimming to a whole different training style. I did change my events up. So that was a little bit different too for myself. I definitely learned, I would say the biggest takeaway I learned freshman year to um, sophomore year is that I don't have to be so tense when swimming. I mean, you swim faster when you are having more fun, and I think that is probably the most important thing that I learned.
For sure, for sure. So tell us kind of how you train for the backstroke.
Yeah, so here at Notre Dame we're split into groups, so it's like a middle distance group. I do the 100 and 200, and I mean, it's a daily grind, obviously. I don't do it every day though. We mix in some freestyle. I also do the IM, but it's a big combination of everything. I mean, we're doing 20-hour weeks, 3 times a week in the weight room. We swim doubles every other day, and then on top of that, some dryland exercises as well. But I'd say it's a pretty typical get in, do a couple do a couple, thousands of yards, and you're good. But I can say the coaches, they form pretty good practices that all have a purpose, so.
For sure. I mean, to be amazing at 3 different events, especially since the IM is everything, is like you said, kinda changed it up. So, did you add or did you kinda take away the events that you did in high school?
So in high school, I was more of a sprinter actually, and I, did the 100 breast. I didn't do backstroke at all. I always did the 2 IM, so I knew that's something that I was gonna definitely do in college. I kinda actually in high school, I did all the hundreds of stroke, so sorry, every 100 of stroke, with the 50 free and the 2 IM would I would say were my events, and then I didn't really do 200s coming to, before coming to college, but when I came here, we at the time on the team only had like 1 200 backstroker, 1 or 2, like a couple, not that many. Like it wasn't a deep field or a deep group as the other groups were. So I tried it out and yeah, the rest is
Nice. What's the funnest thing to do at Notre Dame?
hmm. Honestly, for me, I'd say probably the football games and being with the team. I mean, we all sit together. Um, and it's always a great time. I mean, we're one big, like, family, so whenever I have their company, it's always a good time. It's always fun.
I bet. I bet. Okay. So, what was one of your favorite games throughout the 3 years here, like sitting, watching on Saturdays?
I would say for me, it's probably when ND went against Clemson, last year during COVID. The COVID policies were for sure not followed, but it was definitely a game that I'm so glad I didn't miss, and it's one that will probably go down in history here for sure, at least for years and years to come. It was fun. I mean, I stormed the field like mostly everyone else did, but it was just the energy there was crazy that night, and it was amazing.
For sure. I'm glad that you said that because the COVID part of it. So, how did that kind of change from your sophomore, freshman to sophomore year, and how did that kind of the adjustment period with all that stuff?
So yeah, freshman year, obviously, we were sent home. I finished spring from March until the end of the semester online at home. I didn't see anyone, so that was hard. I couldn't swim because everything was closed. Just basically had to do a lot of training. Uh, I don't want to say like on land, but like that kind of stuff. And it was definitely like I wanna say for being a freshman, I do like that I was able to go home as I am an only child, so being away, like, I didn't really get homesick, but going home was really definitely nice and something that I think I did need, even though I didn't realize at the time. Looking back on it, I think it definitely helped. But going to sophomore year, it was like a whole different, like, year. Like, nothing could prepare me for sophomore year, honestly, though, here with the COVID and all. We basically had to just it was just us and the team, like, we couldn't really, like, we couldn't see anyone else. I mean, obviously masks, and couldn't really get together either with even the team. So, it was basically just me and my roommate at the time in our dorm room, and we'd go to practice and we come back. Um, yeah, we had to be really, we had to really think about, like, where we were going and, like, if we really needed to go, like, for things, but, it was definitely really different. I mean, towards the end of the spring last year, it kinda, um, not faded away, but, like, it wasn't as strict as it was at the beginning as the vaccine was starting to come out and Notre Dame did require it. So I think on that standpoint, yeah, swimming was hard, for me personally. I was close contacted a couple times that had me miss a couple meets, so it was a little bit it wasn't the season I would have thought of anyway, but, I mean, life happens and life goes on, so it's okay.
For sure. And plus, you got another COVID year on top of it. Um, if you want choose to after next year use it as
Mhm.
well. So that's I shouldn't say that's a plus, but that's another thing that to look through in case if you want to go with master programs here at Notre Dame and stuff like that for major in business.
Mhm.
So that's a possibility. And what is the like kind of mental health factors in this first 3 years here for swimming?
Yeah, this is funny, I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, but, mental health, we were talking about it with swimming, it's this sport is probably one of the hardest ones. I mean, every sport is hard in its own way, but for mental health, it definitely takes a toll. I mean, you're swimming 20 hours, like, we use the 20 hours for, physical activity, so that definitely will take a toll on top of, just how our bodies feel, and then when you add other things, like, the stress can definitely just build up, especially when school comes in, and then you have to worry about having a social life, and you have to worry about this and that, but mental health is definitely I mean, it's gotten better, I would say, for everyone, I would say it gets better as the years go on. I know freshman year, it's hard for some people. I personally didn't really have a problem my freshman year, so much, but everyone's different for sure. Um, I would say it's also hard freshman year because you're, like, away from people and you're not seeing the same people you did for 4 years before or that you grew up with. It's a whole they kinda just, like, drop you like, with swimming, you're just kinda not swimming, but, like, sports, you're kinda just recruited and placed with, like, a bunch of random girls and guys you've never met before and are like, "Alright, you guys are friends." Um, so it can definitely take a mental toll, and I think it's definitely something that should be talked about more. But I mean, the resources here at Notre Dame are unbelievable. We have a sports psych, and I think that really helps. I mean, you can just go talk about anything, and it's definitely been more popular on the teams here, and you can tell like it does work. But yeah.
For sure, absolutely. Mental health is the most important thing, especially since you're going to one of the premier institutions. Plus, on top of that, being amazing swimmer in the pool, and put with this year the meets getting canceled and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and all those things on that lines. It's got to be hard on that front too. Stopping and
Mhm.
going, and consistently practicing. So, how was the kind of adjustment period here in the third year, in your junior year, this year?
Yeah. I would say, I mean, it was good. Every year it gets better, and I think it helps too, knowing, like, I'm an upperclassman now and I can help the underclassmen, like, kind of work through it, makes me feel good too. Um, on that standpoint, I mean, you just kinda learn how to navigate through life now. I mean, you're older, more experience with the whole college athletics while being a student, you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you realize like, yeah, you're a student athlete, but you're also like a person too, so you can have other friends and stuff. So I think that also helps having friends not on the team, helps with having a different outlet to look at. So
For sure, absolutely, absolutely. So, with the NIL laws and stuff like that, what was it like getting that kind of freedom in your junior year versus your sophomore and your freshman year?
yeah, I would say, I mean, being a swimmer, you don't really you don't really expect like deals like football would have or like hockey or basketball and that kind of stuff. At least at Notre Dame, like here, there's some pretty amazing athletes that will go on to do like really big things and
Mhm.
they, will get those deals and stuff. But for us, I guess being a swimmer, it's just a little bit more freedom where like you can host like camps or like go back to your community and do that kinda stuff, like, from your small town, which you couldn't before technically, which is nice, and you can also, like, reach out and work with, like, smaller companies or, like, other, like I wanna say, like, some people I know have, like, some deals with, like, Liquid IV and, like, all that stuff, so yeah.
For sure. I've kind of talking through you guys kind of in this team. I've learned liquid IV is very common with you guys, with
Mm,
swimmers,
mhm,
even at Notre Dame, because on the baseball side as well. So, talk about what would be your dream endorsement.
mm. My dream endorsement, I would say, coming from a Massachusetts girl, I grew up in a small town, so I would say probably Dunkin' Donuts has been on my list. Um, I know it has nothing to do with, like, the sports or anything, but that would probably be my dream one.
For sure. And there's so many Dunkin' Donuts
Mhm.
around here. So, yeah, I mean, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't go wrong with some donuts, but for sure. So we're gonna put for our last segment here, Sydney, we're gonna put you on the hot seat. No pun intended, or the hot corner. Okay, since we are Regan's corner. Um, so what is your favorite go-to snack before a meet?
Mm, favorite go-to snack before a meet? I wanna say fruit snacks.
Ooh, Sydney. Oh my, that was one of my favorites when I played basketball. Okay, to be honest with you, um, but what was one of your favorite like sports movies growing up?
I would say probably, um I wouldn't say growing up because it just came out, but there was a documentary about, USA Gymnastics, Athlete A. It was on Netflix. I would say that one has probably, been my favorite.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna have to check that out. An audience, you're gonna have to check that out. Okay,
Mhm.
so um, let's see here. What is the go-to meal?
Ooh, I would say for me, my go-to meal would be, um, salmon and rice with a
Okay,
salad on the side.
nice, nice, nice little healthy kind of meal there. With protein and stuff. I
Mhm.
dig it. I dig it. Okay, so what is your favorite exercise training on land?
Um, I would say if we're looking at a lifting standpoint, back squats.
Okay, nice, nice. Okay, so what is the fundamentals of the backstroke?
Ooh. Um, I would say probably 2 of the most important things would be you have to keep your head straight, when you're swimming on your back. You can't swim with it moving side to side, and you have to, really engage in your core.
For sure. Okay, so which one's kind of your favorite? Because you do you breaststroke events, you do the IM, you do backstroke. So which one is your favorite?
I'd say probably I am.
Nice. Because like doing one of
Mhm.
everything
You get a little taste of it all.
for sure. So what's kind of the goals for in the pool and outside the pool in the next couple of years?
Um, in the pool would probably be, I mean, to just finish, strong and just leave it all, like, have no regrets on what I did here. And out of the pool would be to obviously, get a job. I'm a finance major, so hopefully working in a city. after, but we'll see.
See, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so what's kind of the training mantra you're kind of going to for next year to improve or to better your times and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say for me, it would be, just take every practice, one step at a time. That's definitely something I changed up this year, and it's helped me get through practices better. Also, too, to just you can't worry about the sets that are coming on the paper next, no matter how hard they are. You just kind of have to live in the moment at the time. And we'll see. We're actually getting a new coach, so we'll see what they have in store.
For sure, absolutely. So please go vote for Sydney Winters in the Battle of the Sydneys in the first round and the Larry Knowlton first ever tournament here at Regan's Corner for our athletes. We welcome her to our athletes as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, we have future maybe in person, maybe like this again
Mhm.
very soon. But it's been a pleasure, Sydney.
For sure. Thank you for having me.